Hello, welcome to the Winners of Sheffield podcast. It's a Steel City derby day for me and Trav today. Day part one, we are at Sheffield United, Bramall Lane, in the community podcast studio, and we are here with Rob Jenkinson.
Morning, good to be here.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for joining us today. You're the participation community manager at Sheffield
Participation and inclusion manager.
Inclusion manager. There we go. Yeah. We'll get it right at some point. So, again, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to join us, Rob. Really appreciate it. So, as we start on every Winners of Sheffield podcast, we go right back to the beginning. So, stage is yours. Tell us where you began, how you, and your journey through your career, basically, and then we'll go into it.
Yeah, well, although it's Winners of Sheffield, I was born and raised in Rotherham. We get that in there, really.
We'll edit it.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Rotherham?
Thorpe Esley. I grew up in Thorpe Esley.
Oh,
really? Yeah.
I moved to Thorpe Esley when I was 12. So
really? Okay, I've probably crossed paths with Red Lion or something.
Yeah. I used to work in Ball and
oh, did you?
And in
Okay.
the Masons as well.
Right. Oh, sound. Yeah. All frequented them many times over the years. But my family side of the family are rooted in Sheffield, going back generations. So my granddad grew up on the Wyvern. My dad grew up on Manor Park. My nana grew up on Pittsmore. So very much the family's entwined in Sheffield and sort of Sheffield United as a result. So I've grown up a Blade since birth and I really have a choice in that.
Yeah.
I tried through a love affair with David Beckham to be a Man U fan, but that weren't allowed. And then for my sins, Sheffield United and enjoyed the highs and lows throughout childhood of semi-finals in both cups.
Yeah.
Playoff finals or playoff campaigns are many. Obviously, another one coming up starting tonight against Bristol. But a really, really privileged childhood, I've got to say.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really, really fortunate that I grew up in a really stable home with a really supportive mum and dad. Tried to play football, wasn't very good. Stuck my hand at swimming, and I was pretty good at swimming. Yeah, swim for Chapeltown amateur swimming club until around 15. And sort of left that when it got a lot. It's a really big commitment that I got at that age. I just wanted to knock about with my mates instead, and left school. Went to Winter Hill School in Kimberworth. Did a year at Thomas Rotherham College. Decided education wasn't for me, and was looking at anything really to get out and get into the world of work. And I sort of at that time, I thought I'd either go into work in IT because I was pretty decent on computers or being an electrician. And then I saw this apprenticeship with what was called the United Initiative, or now the Sheffield United Community Foundation, the charitable arm of Sheffield United Football Club, apprenticeship in sports coaching. And I thought, never considered that, but the pull of the football club is certainly really appealing to me. And applied for it, got it, 15 years in September. Still here, still going strong. Yeah, I had a really.
What age were you when you started?
17, 32 now. So I had a really, really amazing experience over the 15 years, and being fortunate to see a different side to professional football, and I'm sure we'll delve deep into what the foundation does and what a lot of the club community network does across the country. But the work that goes on is truly inspiring, and sort of being a part of it for so long is I'm really, really grateful that going back all those years that Mark Todd gave me the opportunity that he did. Yeah,
it's been a good 15 years as well, hasn't it? To be fair, Premier League spells.
The first half of my tenure probably not so. So my first season we got relegated to League One.
Right.
So my dad said that it was my fault. I was the bad owner. The year after that was another playoff final loss to Huddersfield. The one penalties after a drab 0-0 all the way to the goalkeepers.
Yeah, Simonson, wasn't it?
Simonson, that's right. Yeah, and then sort of the club just couldn't get out of League One. We've seen it loads of times, haven't we? It's easy. It's an easy league to get stuck in.
Still struggling.
Yeah, it's a hard league to get out of, and until 2016-17 when Chris Wilder came and changed everything and sort of ridden the tide or ridden the wave of success that's come along with that. And obviously there's been relegations from the Premier League twice since then, but that I'm going very much into football now, but it's becoming a really difficult league to maintain, and isn't it? And but the sort of the success that the foundation's been able to have off the back of that, with the increased exposure and the increased workforce, the increase of projects we've been able to put in, it's really benefited Sheffield, which I think has been really nice.
Has there been like more influx into your role for when you're in the Premier League or when you're out of the Premier League? You've seen differences in that kind of it?
Initially, yeah. I mean, I think it would have been a lot different had COVID not happened, because our first year in the Premier League was the COVID season. So
I remember,
so we were setting up for a lot of really amazing programs that did take place, but we just looked a lot different than what we initially planned.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, the world was just a really, really weird place at that time, and our role within the community definitely changed. Within that period, and my role in particular looked a lot different to what sort of it did before, and has changed significantly since then as well, as we respond to different needs. Sort of coming out of the pandemic, there was a lot of focus around social isolation and young people missing out on education and school, which is where a lot of my role sort of focused within that initial period coming out. So a lot of change. We sort of seem to have settled down from a lot of that now. Things seem a lot more normal, don't they, than they used to be. But there's still a lot of problems within the city that we're trying to tackle. And we're in a weird paradox where if we solve all the problems and do what we say we're going to do effectively, the foundation would become redundant. But I think there'll always be a need for the football club's charity to be out in the community and helping people, and that's what we want to do.
Yeah, they say, well, the main aim is that football clubs be nothing without the fans and the community, won't they?
This is it.
That's what.
Absolutely, and I think that what the foundation has a real positive impact in is generating interest of new fans, and certainly in today's age where a lot of kids do have access to YouTube, they do have access to a lot more media than what maybe we did when we were kids. So and the Premier League have really been clever in how they marketed themselves. So it's really easy for kids now to support Man City or Arsenal or Real Madrid or whoever it is, because of the exposure that they've got.
I've just seen two lads walking down in Paris,
PSG show. Well, funny, because we laughed last night. But if we can give young people and older people as well a real connection, human connection with the football club and help them, then the idea is that they would hopefully become fans over a longer term period rather than going to the traditional big clubs. Which
I think you've got a two-tier system nowadays. Most sort of families that will bring up the kid as a Wednesday or United night, but they'll either be Man City or Liverpool.
And I think back in the day, obviously anyone that was born around here was a Blade. Everyone that was born around Essex was an Owl. But as people have grown up and life has changed, everyone's moved all over the place now. So those their city boundaries probably don't exist like they used to when it comes to football. And that's played an impact or had an impact in that as well. But that's why it's important that the foundation for both clubs, Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United, are citywide and working in partnership, because it doesn't happen as much anymore, but there are still people that will refuse to work with us because we're Blades and they're Wednesday fans. There'll be people that will refuse to work with Wednesday because they're Blades fans. But it's a lot easier for me to ring Johnny, for example, who you're seeing this afternoon at Sheffield Wednesday, and say, we know of this person, they need help, but they won't engage with us, the massive Wednesday fan. Here's the details. Have you got something for him? So it's nice to have that collaborative way of working.
I was going to ask you that later on, but do you have, I mean, I know someone, we were talking about at the university the other day, but I don't know if it happens as much now, but do Sheffield Wednesday supporters still work at the Lane, and then Wednesday, when it never used to happen, but it seems to have happened now.
Yeah, we've got a few Wednesday fans that work working in the foundation and a lot more in the club, and I know of you Blades fans working down at Hillsborough.
It never used to happen back in.
No, it didn't. I think it's just a generational change. Where people are not really that bothered about putting on the other one's tracksuit maybe as much as what they used to.
I couldn't walk around. I couldn't walk around in a Liverpool tracksuit, put it that way. Joe, let's start from when you started then at Sheffield United. Talk about your first role from there, and then we'll go through your roles.
Yeah, so I did a 2-year apprenticeship in sports coaching. I sort of got all my the relevant qualifications needed to lead sessions, and that was primarily working within primary schools.
Right.
At that time, the community programs were really small. It was maybe 1 or 2 educational programs and a schools program, and that was pretty much it. So I would get on the bus with a bag of footballs, bibs and cones on my back, and go to a school, deliver a couple of PE lessons, and an after school football club. During school half terms, we'd do holiday camps, which we all probably participated on when we were younger, in soccer schools. And then after my apprenticeship, I got offered a full-time role doing that, essentially, with a couple of bits around match days.
Did you have to do like coaching qualifications on?
Yeah, so I got my level 1 and level 2 football coaching through that apprenticeship. And then
was that on the job?
That was on the job, yeah. And I got qualified to coach multiple sports. I got dodgeball, basketball, hockey, handball, can't remember any others off the top of my head, football, futsal. So it sort of enabled us, and a lot of the guys that were coaching at the same time did similar, because although a lot of people love football, it's a great way to engage within a school setting. It can be difficult, and what you find is that football can be quite an exclusive sport, certainly in PE. So you try and, our program that we've built now doesn't really involve football in PE time, because there's other ways you can engage and get out maybe similar skills linked to national curriculum, where more kids will get an opportunity, rather than your few players that are grassroots players and are pretty decent, rather than the other kids that are not interested and don't play, and as a result don't get the chance to participate. Other sports give you much more of a level playing field. So that's why we go down the route of multiple sports coaching qualifications, just to help with that knowledge and delivery them on site. I did that for 5 years after my apprenticeship, and then I got my first taste at project coordination on a project called Premier League Primary Stars. That's a Premier League funded programme that all club community organisations get access to, and it's around building teacher confidence in supporting delivering PE lessons, and that project's morphed into sort of a holistic child development now, where you look at English and maths interventions and PSHE workshops, anti-discrimination, festivals. It's massive. It's a really, really big programme, but a really good one. That was my first taste of line management, my first taste at dealing with stakeholders, and sort of the next level of sort of working, for my experience, was really vital. Did that up until COVID, where I took on a couple of extra projects in other areas of the charity, and after COVID, it's sort of when it's felt like my job's changed all the time. There's new, for the better, for when new projects have come in, and sort of where I've got to now as participation and inclusion manager. We've got the schools programme, which still exists. There's a programme called Premier League Kicks, which is it was the Premier League's first programme, and that was built with the Metropolitan Police to tackle ASB and youth violence.
Didn't know that. Right.
Yeah, so that formed in 2007, so we were one of the first clubs to access it, because we were in the Premier League at that time. So it's our longest standing programme, and now we work in 13 different ward areas in the city on that programme, and sort of work with underserved communities and young people to guide them to help make better choices, because when it's tough and family life's difficult or home life's difficult, it's easy for young people to be groomed into criminal violence or into gang related activities, which does happen, unfortunately. That programme is vital in those communities to help young people sort of see the light, and give them an option, and give them positive male role models or adults that actually believe in them. I think a lot of these young people go into school and just get told they're not good enough, and teachers will not engage with them, because they will act up and they will mess about, because that's how they express themselves. And our youth workers are really skilled at engaging them really, really well to
How many
help
youth
them.
workers are working on a project like that then?
6 youth workers that work across the city. At Sheffield Wednesday have a very similar programme as well, because they're funded through Kicks. And it just now it supplements what the council are doing. So the council have got a really big youth provision or youth programme, and we work really closely with their senior youth workers, again, to map out where are areas of high need. Are there opportunities to share staff, for example? Are there opportunities where we can collaborate on mass participation events, or can our staff go to the council's youth clubs to advertise our sessions? Council staff will come to our sessions to advertise youth clubs. So it tries to build more opportunities for the young people to actually go and do something rather than knocking about on the streets because they think there's nothing there for them. And there's definitely an element of that where I don't think there's enough provision for young people, but there's a lot out there that just needs to be marketed and put at the right level for teenagers in particular to know it's there, and if they can access the support that comes behind it from highly experienced and qualified youth workers, then it's a win-win for us.
Awesome. I know you said we was talked about off camera, but you were based at Shirecliffe, weren't you? And then since COVID, you've come back to Bramall.
We've had a couple of over the 15 years I've been here. We've had a couple of moves. So I started at Shirecliffe. First office that I was ever in is now a changing room at the academy. So it was really small.
That's good.
Yeah, it was absolutely tiny, but that just shows the sort of how small the programme was at that time. We moved to Bramall Lane, moved back to Shirecliffe. Now we've moved to Bramall Lane again, just to suit what the other areas of the club are.
Is the whole community project based here now at Bramall Lane?
Most of it is. There's a couple of education lessons or education bases that we've got as well, run through Sheffield United Community College, which is on the banners behind us. So we have a programme of activities taking place at Handsworth Junior Sporting Club and at Leisure United Westfield as well, the old Isabel Bowler. So it's a massive operation. It's a really big operation now. I mean, the college on its own, I don't know the exact figure because it's not my area of the charity, but I know there's well over 200 students. But it's a college in itself. Is
that Sheffield United funding the college themselves, or
no? Well, it's a bit of a weird one how it works. So it's linked to the Sheffield College. There's sort of an offshoot of the Sheffield College, and for the sports provision anyway, there's an e-sports programme as well, which is funded through Barnsley College. So there's a couple of different avenues that we go through, just to make sure that there's enough provision for young people in the city to access post-16 education. E-sports is a bit of a standalone one that's been a real big project of our now Chief Operating Officer Joe Williamson going back a few years. It's something that he's really passionate about implementing within the city, and that's taken off amazingly well. There's a degree in sports business now that's sort of come off the back of that esports course. The esports students engage in a football club and never thought they would engage in a football club, and it's opened us up to working with a completely different demographic of people, which is amazing. They're the ones that come and use this podcast suite most of the time. It's their college courses all around game design and other bits. I can't remember exactly. But
so it's not just football based?
Not just football, no. It's not just football. It was when I first started, but football accounts for a minimum amount of activity that sort of goes off citywide now, because it's a powerful way to engage football, like the Kicks programme generally is, but for a lot of people it's not, and it's about finding that balance and being flexible enough to meet the needs of the community, which I think we do a really good job at.
So we've both briefly spoken about it, but what are the main objectives and targets for your current role now for the participation and inclusion programme?
Yes, I lead the day-to-day operations of all of our participation inclusion programmes, so we're sidetracked, didn't we? So it's the schools programme, Kicks programme, which you mentioned. There's a really big disability inclusive sport programme that's just started. We've received significant funding from Firehouse Fitness in order to deliver that over a 5-year period. It's £500,000 over 5 years, so it's a lot of money. That programme probably demonstrates the power of partnership working, and we wouldn't have been able to get that into a position where we'd receive funding like that without working with Gareth Hayden from Local Authority, Dawn Wood from Link School Sport Partnership, and Tom Hughes from Yorkshire Sport Foundation. As a collective, we've sort of mapped out a real clear need for the city, not just for Sheffield United Community Foundation, but for the whole city. It was inclusive sport or disability sport was oversubscribed. There was a big waiting list for voluntary clubs. Without Link's School Sport Partnership and Dawn in particular, the SEND schools probably wouldn't be accessing high quality PE and can't just rely on one person. The workforce across the city probably wasn't upskilled well enough to be able to cater for people's needs if you've got additional needs or for a physical disability. We've worked together to put an all
How's
singing,
that
all dancing
improved,
program.
Rob? How's that level of training? And
Well, it's just started. So
okay.
our disability sports officer started on the 1st of April. So
Right.
it's hot off the press and brand new, that program. But the aim will be is sort of we will upskill the next generation of disability sport coaches. If these people have got disabilities themselves, then even better for us, because we want to provide the opportunities for those people to get employment.
Right.
And if that can be through us or it can be through other organisations, and they can sort of share lived experience when they're working with people with disabilities, then it's an absolute winner, and that's gold dust.
Yeah.
It's absolute gold dust for us. So we haven't got any hard sort of facts and figures yet, but within a year I'm hoping we will do.
What's the target within a year?
We haven't really set targets. We just want to be ambitious and to help as many people as we can. We haven't got a fixed number on that, because it's a private donation. The Firehouse Fitness are just really keen to see a difference.
Right.
That could be really fluid in what that difference looks like, but I'm confident with Brad, who's going to be leading that programme, and support from myself and partners, that it will be a game changer for the city.
Did they approach you, or did you go to them? Or is it...
They approached us.
Right,
They approached us in wanting to support some community activity. I really wanted to make sure that we just help Sheffield, and I'm being very clear that it's not the foundation's project, it's Sheffield's project that we will take a lead on with partners. So it's interesting. It's going to be a new way of working for us, but one that we're really excited about.
One area that, I mean, I don't know how you want to answer this, but you're talking about all these individual projects which have been talked about. What kind of groups or individuals generally are attending these? Is it general people with antisocial behaviour? Is it people who just can't struggle with community?
Anyone and everyone. We won't turn anybody away.
Yeah,
we have a somewhere there's a project for everybody. We like to think.
I guess what I'm saying is how they get involved into a project from scratch. How would they get involved?
Through multiple ways. I think the biggest seller and the biggest advertiser is word of mouth.
Right.
And we rely heavily on a really good reputation that's been built in communities over a number of years. We're really active across various social media channels now, which does help, and the club also support where they can through matchday advertising and other bits as well, to try and get into the fans network. But generally, it's old school, but word of mouth and sort of people advertising and doing the work for you has been massive for us. It really has. It always has been. I think it always will be.
Podcasts like this.
Well, podcasts like this definitely go a long way as well. You just can't beat the power of experience, I don't think. And
is there a big push on it through media channels?
There is, there absolutely is, and Andy, our marketing and comms manager, is amazing with some of the work that he does in pushing it through the channels and making it really sort of active and making it really engaging. I think it's a difficult job and one that he does really well.
How do you measure people who are on the courses and all that? How's it get measured? How well they're doing things like for inclusion and things like that?
It depends on the programme and depends on the funder. A lot of funders have different requirements and they want to see different metrics and different outcomes measured. If you take the Premier League Charitable Fund as an example, a lot of the outcomes data is sort of geared towards key themes around, I can't remember all of them, but where they want to see participants feel inspired and engaged. They want to see participants have improved physical and mental well-being. For Kicks, they want to see participants feel safer and more included in their communities. We gather that data by conversation like this or by questionnaires and surveys which we ask young people to fill in, and that can track a lot of progress and make the progress, and we get a lot of metrics that the Premier League will then gather across all the network, and they will say that 90% of our Kicks participants across the country feel more connected to their communities, for example. So our work feeds on that programme and on Primary Stars and Inspires, another Premier League programme, feeds into wider data.
We were talking about earlier saying, different, Man City, Paris Saint-Germain's kids walking around all them type of shirts. Obviously, a place like Barnes in Rotherham, there's going to be Blades there as well. How do you target them in them other communities, or is it just Sheffield predominantly? No,
we want to have a really big impact in Sheffield. If there is a need for us to work in other communities, we would consider it. But the first port of call would be to say, look, Barnsley in the community are doing a great job. They've got this programme. This is the person you need to speak to. Rotherham United Community Trust have got this programme. We think they really fit you. We wouldn't turn them away, absolutely not. But
I was going to say, could people from Barnsley?
Of course they could, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. If they were really adamant, and there are times where we're the only ones that would offer that service, for example, or Barnsley are the only ones that offer a certain service. So for those types of instances, people will travel. An example of that is the cerebral palsy football session that we've got on a Tuesday down at the EIS.
Okay.
It's the only one in South Yorkshire,
right.
And we do get people from Barnsley and other areas of South Yorkshire come into that because.
And where's that at, sorry?
The English Institute of Sport, on Tuesdays. Down at Attercliffe, that's it. Because it's the only one of its kind, people will travel. Rotherham United have a very similar one with power chair football. It's the only one in South Yorkshire, so people will go because it's the only one that sort of suits their need. Sheffield Wednesday have visually impaired football as an example, so we're all well aware of what each other are doing, and I think what's also really important is that we don't duplicate activities as well. I mean, the nature of the work, there's going to be some duplication because we've all got funding requirements to meet. But this is it, yeah, exactly. We work really closely with Sheffield Wednesday on that. So if we know that they've got a kick session on a Tuesday at Wing Gardens, we won't go to Wing Gardens on a Tuesday. We will.
Sheffield United going to Wing Gardens.
Well, we're very brave on its own. Yeah, probably not a great example, but we're really careful not to duplicate services. And it's the same. It's not even with Sheffield Wednesday. It's with all youth providers. Like we all work really well. At its peak, it's not quite at that level now, but around 80% of our kick staff were once participants, and there's a real good pathway for them to go from playing to volunteering to getting paid employment, and that's something we're really proud of, and something that also we think is really important, because if a young person sees the coach and they know the coach once was them, they can look at it and think, well, if he can do that, then I can do that as well, and serves as real inspiring role models. I call them real models because they're there and it's tangible. It's not Erling Haaland who they've never met and never will meet as a role model. It's someone that's actually been in very similar circumstances and lived similar experiences to them. And that's something we're always really proud of. There's a lot of people from kicks that have gone through onto our education provision or post-16 education where they probably thought that wouldn't be an option for them. And through the work that Sandra and the team and Shannon and the team do, that we inspire people and get people to carry on into further education and sometimes onto university as well. There's loads, honestly, there's loads of stories, there's loads of positive impact that's come through the programmes.
What age groups are like generally like the trainers and the teachers and stuff that do it? I mean, say for instance, is it someone that leaves college or university from scratch, or is it people who've had experience that just want to
varied. We do get university leavers or college leavers that come work with us, but we also get people that have been in the industry a long time and you just hit the nail on the head, just want something different.
Strange,
so the age range is fairly big. I don't know the exact figures, but there's certainly people.
Do they get the training through the club, or is it the onus on them themselves?
Yeah, we put on opportunities for CPD and training ourselves. The Premier League have a really robust training manual that you can access for free. But everything was free, and like their courses are really good and really meaningful. There's a lot of educational opportunities, but there's also accredited qualifications that you can access through the Premier League as well.
I presume they require a lot of work.
Yeah, it does require a lot of work, but the benefits are far outweigh the work, in my opinion, because it really sets you up well, whether it's here or whether it's working for another employer. Like, you can't be having a certificate and accredited quality. If you can get that for free, even better. And that's where I think the PLCF are really supportive in the work that goes on.
What kind of projects have you got coming up? Any decent projects coming up?
Yeah, the disability project mentioned earlier, obviously that's a month old, so I'm really excited to see where that goes. We've got a really ambitious plan targeting 4 or 5 key areas, and if we can achieve that over the 5, some of those KPIs that I mentioned earlier, if we can achieve better provision in SEND schools and schools with integrated resource units where teachers have the tools and the capabilities to deliver meaningful activity through PE, that would be a success. if we can increase and enhance the community sport provision that's currently being undertaken in the voluntary sector, and we can allow more opportunities and create more spaces for young people on those, so that'd be a success. We don't see football at a grassroots level being a big part of that programme, but what we do see is a link to the FA's elite para hubs. So we will align our football delivery to the para hubs around cerebral palsy, deaf, and amputee. Sheffield Wednesday already do visually impaired, and then we will identify young people that are gifted and talented.
Because they do visually impaired, does that mean you're staying away from that?
Yeah, we wouldn't do it. Yeah, we'd work with Sheffield Wednesday to signpost people in rather than set something up similar. All the same, because again, we just don't want people to be able to choose and take work away from a really trusted and valued.
Are they like that? I mean, we'll find out later on, but are they like that with you as well?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I've got a really good relationship with them. Might not seen it on Steel City Derby Day, but every other day of the year, we get on really, really well. And the last one with the disability project, and I mentioned around workforce development, so upskilling the next generation of coaches who are passionate about delivering in disability sport and then end up making a career out of it, because I just don't think Sheffield has had enough people wanting to do that.
Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of people stereotype or have an idea of what working in disability sport is. I think they probably see it as it's underneath them. They probably see it's too difficult. Probably a little bit anxious about the sort of meeting the needs of the individuals without actually giving it a go and seeing, well, it's the most rewarding part of coaching, in my opinion. If you can work with a group of young people that have Down syndrome, for example, and you can give them opportunities that they never had before, they might not become the best footballers, but what they will become is better people, and they will develop a love for something. If we can facilitate that we've done our job. And I think trying to remove those attitudes around, it's beneath me, I don't want to do it because I can't feel I can engage well with somebody with disabilities. If we can just change that mindset for the next generation of coaches, then we're on to something.
Do teachers who've gone through courses and things like that, do teachers feel like you're putting their nose out of joint, so to speak, when you go in trying to say this is what I want to improve and all that?
I think a lot of teachers will just see our staff as football coaches, I think that's initially that was probably a really big challenge. But when you dig deeper in and you identify, or deeper into sort of the issues and identify the teachers that either don't engage well in PE or don't deliver a good enough PE lessons, and it's not the teacher's fault. It's like on the teacher training, it may have changed now, but when I was leading the primary stars programme, they had 3 hours PE teaching across the full year of the PGCE, and then they're expected to go and deliver high quality PE. Unless you've got a genuine passion for it, then you're not gonna have the tools. This is it, and
that's what it was in our school.
This is it. And when you delve deeper into sort of the reasons why teachers are anxious about PE, a lot of it comes from first experiences. And if you've had a negative first experience with PE and you never engaged all in it at school, how can you be expected after 3 hours 3 hours work over a year to go and deliver? It's not going to happen. No. So if you can delve into those issues, and our staff can demonstrate, which I think we do really well, good knowledge around what high quality session planning looks like, what high quality differentiation in PE looks like, what high quality behaviour management looks like. Whatever their issues are, we can develop tools and ways of working that will help that teacher become more accomplished PE or teachers of PE. And I think if you can break down that barrier, they're then suddenly really receptive to it. Because we're not coming in trying to take over the world, we're just trying to come and support better people to become better PE teachers. Not better teachers, because teachers are amazing. It's the hardest job, or one of the hardest jobs in my opinion. Especially at primary school, when you're expected to be.
Your wife's a teacher, isn't she?
She's a teaching assistant, but there's a lot of SEN kids in that school as well. So. And
I think that's where TAs do an amazing job, because generally they are tasked with supporting the young people with additional needs, and because SEND schools are oversubscribed, they are expected to just be in mainstream education. probably not the right setting for a lot of those young people, and TAs are tasked with
Well,
supporting.
from the
them.
get-go, she ended up having the majority of the SEN children.
And it's not easy.
Probably the least experience with them.
Yeah.
With the most.
Yeah, and it's not
But
easy.
now she's sort of integral to that, I think.
Yeah.
I think if she's not there for whatever reason, she's on another
Forced to
course or
pieces.
whatever. all sort of forced pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think from an SEM perspective in PE, if our staff can just show and demonstrate the value of PE and the value of success to these young people, rather than and to school staff as well, rather than just expecting kids with additional needs to go into mainstream PE.
Yeah.
I think the results will be fantastic.
So that initial potential resistance then is easier alleviated.
Yeah, well, I genuinely believe that a lot of people with additional needs that maybe are just put into mainstream PE don't engage later on in life because they've had negative first experiences, because they will have been chosen last, they will have been laughed at for not being able to catch or pass a ball or whatever it might be, because the lessons are just not geared up to suit their needs. And if we can just give opportunities for those young people to have
one of my biggest regrets in life is I never competed in any of my sports days. My wife can't believe it, because like now I'm like Sport Billy, I do everything, and I just didn't go. I was at Woodburn Road every year.
Oh really? Yeah, the athletics track.
So I've never even been into Woodburn Road Stadium, which I'm quite embarrassed about.
What would you? I mean, we touched on this.
Yeah,
it is. What would you say is like the biggest challenges you've had? Obviously, COVID we've mentioned.
Challenges change, and they present unique ways of working and under really difficult circumstances. A really big challenge for us was the death of Harvey Wilgoose this year. Harvey was a participant of ours on kits.
Was he? Right.
He was, bless him. And as a result, a lot of his friends were as well. So navigating that period, for not just for kids but for staff as well, who built up a really good relationship with him, that was really tough. And they're not as severe as that, obviously, but that when you work with young people and develop a good relationship with them, when something does happen and things go wrong or like that, that's the extreme, obviously. But if young people have difficult home lives, if they're put into care, for example, like it does hit on a really personal level sometimes, and because you worry for the young people, so they're really unique and specific challenges, but probably the most difficult ones to manoeuvre, and sort of the aftermath of that, which we're trying to work with Harvey's family to set up some awareness initiatives and fundraising initiatives.
Yeah, so his mum was talking about they're starting to trust for him, aren't they?
That's right, to sort of educate young people on the dangers of knife crime, which is something that we want to support and be involved in as well.
That's growing. So Sheffield United looking into getting involved more with that.
Massively, it's a problem in the city. That it highlighted the need sort of for things to be done. So we're working with South Yorkshire Police and the Violence Reduction Unit to try and tackle that issue as best we can. I think the attitude is that we're not going to stop your kids carrying knives overnight. I think that the main thing we've got to do is just educate and show young people the dangers of carrying them, but also if something goes wrong, here's how you're going to save your mate's life. We're in the process of working with a provider called ACW Medical Services to set up some knife crime first aid or stab first aid that we're going to deliver to young people to show them what to do if it goes wrong, and then we can tackle the wider issue of why people are carrying knives later. But I think the immediate thing is that we just need to show people.
It's mad how times change, because I mean, when we were at school and things like that was never ever suggested.
No.
Well, I went to Notre Dame and there were a chap got stabbed to death. But it was an organised fight in a park, and all went horribly wrong. Yeah. And that was before I'd gone to school, so it was quite prevalent in our school. And I remember somebody getting expelled for bringing a knife in. Obviously not done anything, thankfully. But and now, like you said, it's just everywhere.
It is. It's sad that young people feel that they have to carry them, but they do. And we just need to try and tackle the situation head on and support young people through that process, and it's not easy, but it's needed. It's needed.
Have you been dealing with a lot of people from Castle College, City now, as a result of that? Well, Harvey.
Not so much from the school. Mainly the young people that we already knew.
Okay.
That we've supported them through grief, and the good thing is that they've always carried on attending our sessions. I think there was a worry that they'd stop, and they didn't, and our staff were able to support as best they could alongside that. So we saw that as a real positive. But now, and again, it's just about what we do next, around the education, around it all. I think is the most important thing. So that they're the very real challenges, amongst many other things, sort of logistically and from business perspective. But yeah, those hard hitting stories are sort of when it becomes the most difficult, I would say.
People like Arsenal and West Ham and all that are when it. I mean, their football community are dealing with it virtually every day.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know how to handle it.
Arsenal ran the campaign with the all white kit a few years ago. I don't know if you remember that. That was all based around sort of the issues with knife crime, wasn't it? And football has a massive part to play in raising the awareness because of how popular it is. And there's definitely a need for raising awareness, but there just needs to be a big.
Do you get first team players involved in these projects or not?
Where possible, yeah. Obviously, managing sort of when the sessions are and matching it to players' schedules with training and games. Certainly the Championship, where it seems to be Monday, Saturday, Tuesday every week, is difficult. But
is there any player that goes above and beyond? I mean, it seems to be Liam Palmer.
I think Tom Davis.
Tom Davis has been a really supportive figure from a sustainability piece. So we've got a sustainability programme that he's really passionate about, and he's lent a lot of support to that. To that initiative, and being brilliant in the work that he's done. I think he was the same at Everton, to be fair.
Was,
I think it's something he was really passionate about. And the players support where they can. It's just it's really difficult, I think, to really try and get into the nitty gritty of what the players are really interested in. And I think players get a stigma of sort of not caring, but they're expected to go and just do anything and everything, where I think really we should be trying to find out what they're really passionate about, like we've done with Tom Davis, and guide them to work with young people that they really think they can make a difference with. Reece Norrington Davis visited a session at UMIX, a kick session a couple of years ago, because it was a real interest of his, and he supported some refugee work that we've done in the past as well. So he's been brilliant with that. Billy Sharp, when he was here, was amazing, because Sheffield boy, Sheffield born and bred, really passionate about the club and the city. He was, and as captain as well, he really drove it forward and understood, I think, his role within the city, and really took it with both hands. And
I think when he hangs up his boots, he'll be back here, won't he?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think that'll be his. I would imagine so. Yeah, but I don't think he wants to hang up his boots just yet.
How old is he now? 38, 37?
I don't even want to guess. I know he's been offered another contract at Doncaster there.
Has he? Right.
Yeah, so I imagine he'll be playing.
I saw Jags playing here on Sunday, and I thought, God, I wish he was still playing for us.
Sheffield United. Yeah, he was in goal, weren't he?
Kept running out all the time. He was fit as a fiddle, absolutely fit as a fiddle. He was.
But yeah, the players are really powerful in sort of delivering the messages as role models, certainly to Blades fans.
And the manager.
Well, Sheffield born and bred again. He really gets it, really understands it, lives and breathes Sheffield. So yeah, he's amazing in the work that he tries to do to put it out there as well.
Yeah, he's done really well. Rob, I appreciate that for you. Well, what we're going to do with football is, though, favourite ever Blaze player?
Michael Brown.
It's an absolute bolt from the blue, that.
Yeah, Michael Brown.
In all the time you've watched Sheffield United, Michael Brown.
So my first season with a full season ticket was what we know, or what we call the triple assault season.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah,
so both cup semi-finals and a playoff final. Michael Brown was used in a much different role to what people probably know him as when he went into the Premier League with Spurs, where he was more defensive. It was an attacking midfielder. I banged in over 20 goals, scored an unbelievable volley against Wednesday in front of their fans.
That was that season, wasn't it?
That was that season.
Yeah.
I was right behind the goal.
For that one?
Yeah, for that one. Because we were, United fans were there. and I was in their way, and that was take about.
It was amazing, and I was 9, 10, so like it was my first proper like Blades hero, and I loved him. I was gutted when he left. I was absolutely gutted. He went to Spurs, yeah. I was devastated when he left, but he still have fond memories of him. And
I'm sure you're the same. I'm sure you were the same as well. I remember when Chris Brunt left Wednesday. I went to West Brom, and I remember being outside the Harley that night, or like shortly afterwards, and there was a diehard Wednesday fan sort of saying, "Oh, he's leaving us. He's going to be a bit part player," and it was everything to us. I'm sure you were the same, because that's exactly what happens when your sort of star player leaves and they go somewhere, and they just end up playing it.
What the amazing thing about sort of recent history is like there's so many cult heroes that's come from the Wilder era.
There is, yeah.
It's hard to choose one. Like,
Sunday was an example of that. Every player that came on, Gary Scalea, the announcer, was like, Blaze legend, legend.
This is it. And they are because of that journey was unbelievable. I mean, to get to 9th in the Premier League with the same core group of players that were in League One.
Do you know that COVID break? I think that COVID break, without it, it'd have been interesting to see where United.
Well, just flying, weren't they?
So just before that happened, I remember watching Sky Sports News, and they were doing a piece on race for the Champions League, and we were in it, and our badge were there, and I remember thinking like, what has happened? Like, how have we?
I was waiting actually at the time for some Sheffield United fans, some deluded Sheffield United fans to decide that COVID was some ploy just to stop them getting to the Champions League.
I think I've heard it. Premier League introduced it
just to stop them. I think from the Wilder era, it's really hard to say.
Favourite game from that era? I know I was asked Rich this, and he can't.
4-2 at Hillsborough.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, 4-2 at Hillsborough. How can it not be? I was fortunate to be there.
Yeah.
When Wednesday got it back to 2-2, I was with my dad, and they were all bouncing.
Bounce Slayer, they call it.
The Bounce Slayer, Mark Duffy. I remember my dad turning to me saying, "To be fair, it's unbelievable, this atmosphere," and within 20 seconds it stopped. And I don't think that set of circumstances will probably ever happen again. Like, it was unbelievable. And sort of the second story to that, Leon Clark going back as a bit of a joke figure. Scored twice, once in front of the Cop, once in front of us. And I'll never forget that game. A couple of weeks after that, actually, and I love telling this story, we actually had Mark Duffy on a player visit at Rotherham Primary School, which is deep in Wednesday territory at S6. There was Mark Duffy, John Lundstrom, and I can't remember, there was one more player, and we did an assembly, so we had all the kids in school in this assembly, and they were doing a bit of a Q&A session, and one of the questions were, how many goals have you scored this season? And the other players answered, I've scored 1, I've scored 2 or whatever, and Duffy answered last, and he just said, well, I've stopped the piggies from bouncing.
In S6.
In S6, and all the kids started booing him, and he was laughing. Oh, it was hilarious. It was so funny. One of my favourite player visits ever, just for that moment, for the banter. Yeah, it was amazing. Like, such a good answer, so quick, and I thought, you'll do.
You may have just answered it, but favourite of the goal.
Yeah, Michael Brown. Yeah, Michael. It's a top up between the Michael Brown volley and the Mark Duffy one. Adi Akinbaye also scored an unbelievable volley off it. He sort of chested it away from a defender and hooked a volley into the top corner in that same game.
Hopes for Sheffield United moving onwards?
The club or foundation or both?
Both.
Well, club immediate future, win the playoffs. It'd be nice to finally get that off us back. This is the 10th playoff campaign now.
How many? So I heard it brief on Talk Sport. So it's 9 playoff campaign, and they've only won.
Not won any.
That's it.
Yeah, we've got so.
Yeah, he asked the question like he didn't know.
So this will be the 9th promotion playoff campaign. We've had 1 relegation playoff in the 80s, which we lost to Bristol. Left Bristol City.
That's what they're talking about. Actually,
So this is the 10th one. 4 finals, no goals in the final.
That's it.
I always remember being in Champs when they were playing. Was it Wolves?
Yeah, the one at Millennium Stadium. Yeah, I was there for that one.
That was Michael Brown for Wolves, though, wasn't it? He scored the penalty, didn't he?
No, he missed. Michael Brown. He missed the penalty. It was our penalty taker that season. It was the first one, the only one he missed that season in the final. And we were 3-0 down at half time, and still think if we'd have got that, because it was early on, we had a chance, because that team that season, we just never ever knew when they were beaten. I know it's a cliche, but there's so many last minute goals, so many times where they steal victory from the jaws of defeat, and
it's the playoffs that I'd hate to be in it.
It's the way to go up, though, isn't it? It is the way to go up.
It is the way to go up, but it's a terrible way if you don't go up in it.
We've had enough experience. We've had enough experience.
You know when you've got to do that all over.
From a club perspective, though, and I say this as I wouldn't call myself a die-hard Wednesday fan, but I'm more a Wednesday fan than anything else, and but definitely got the bragging rights over your 15-year sort of spell.
Yeah, we had
definitely had the bragging
rights. I mean, it didn't start all too well, because my second season here was that Huddersfield playoff one when Wednesday came out of nowhere and picked us to second place. We finished third on 90 points. And Mikel Antonio scored a last-minute goal against Wycombe, which pretty much sent Wednesday up.
It was we won't mention, but it was the striker that got unfortunate series of events.
Yeah,
wasn't it,
that was that one.
That was when I was managing Dan House.
Yeah.
We watched it. Yeah.
That was that season. Another unbelievable set of circumstances that stopped us going up. But
we didn't even talk about the Tevez saga.
Yeah, another one. Yeah, it seems to follow us, don't they? These unique set of circumstances, and then look like it's what's happened. You can't really control sort of what other clubs done, and I think with that season in particular, we were safe at one bit. We were 10 points clear or something. So and
it was Wilson then, wasn't it? Danny Wilson was.
No, it was Neil Warnock.
Was it
back a long time. That was Warnock. That one. Yeah. We were clear by 10 points, and ended up just having a bit of a free fall towards the end of the season.
Well, Rob, thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you for having me on.
Pleasure
No, really enjoyed it.
to meet.
No, thank
you
you
very much.
Spot on.
Here's hoping you go through this weekend. Well, by Monday, isn't it? Monday night.
Monday night. Hopefully,
You going to that one?
Yeah, I'll be there for that one. Yeah, and hopefully another trip to Wembley with.
Who would you play? Sunderland or Coventry?
Sunderland, because they've had a shocking time of it recently.
Well, I know some of the fans says they've been playing their academy kids and all sorts.
Oh really? I
didn't know that.
Because
they've been in the playoffs for so long,
right?
And they've just been mixing it up, which is the wrong way to do it. But yeah,
might have to change to Coventry then. In that case,
here's hoping the top things continue for the Community Foundation as well. Really
we're riding high at the minute, so hopefully we can carry on just doing what we do.
This wasn't for us. We're not auctioning off the octopus.
No, unfortunately not. No.
Game.
So I have to ask the host a question.
Oh, yeah. It's how it's landed on.
That's what it's landed on. I
There
think
you
we've
go.
got a question to ask. I'll have to think of one.
Yeah,
I'll text Johnny and ask him to ask you this
that's
afternoon.
Get Johnny to ask it.
But no,
Cheers.
really enjoyed it.
Cheers.
Thank you. Yeah,
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.
Cheers.